So now we're going to subtract negatives. So this looks familiar, 4 plus negative 6. And hopefully you know how to do this now. But the plus and negative is kind of redundant. You don't need that. So we're going to rewrite the problem to involve subtraction instead of addition. So this is how you rewrite it, 4 minus 6. Now let's go back to our number line visual. We start at 4, so let's put a dot at 4. Now since we're subtracting 6 from that, we're going to move 6 spaces to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We end at negative 2. Final answer, 4 minus 6 is negative 2. Here's another example. Remember that negatives are represented by red circles, and we have 6 to begin with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we're going to take away 3 of those negatives. 1, 2, 3. We're left with 3 negatives, so final answer is negative 3. Now, what happens if you can't remove anything in the visual that we saw above? So let's start with our 5 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we want to remove 2 positives, but we don't have any positives. So what do? We add zeros, because adding zeros doesn't change the value of our original number. So let's add enough zeros so that we can take away 2 positives. There's 1 0, there's 2 zeros. Now we have 2 positives that we can take away, so let's go ahead and take those away. 1, 2. Now let's count up how many red circles that we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have 6, 7. Final answer is negative 7. Now, what do you do for bigger numbers? It's the same process you do when you add. So figure out which one has the bigger absolute value. 17, and you look at this negative 78. The negative attaches to this whole thing. So which one of those has a bigger absolute value? It's the negative 78. And since it was negative, our final answer will be negative. Now, you just subtract the 2 numbers since they are opposites. 78 minus 17 gives you negative 61. Now, what do you do if they are the same sign? Again, it's the same process you do when you add. So you have negative 88 minus 86. They're both the same sign, so you add the 2 numbers as you normally would. 88 plus 86 gives you 174. They're both negative, so you can just bring the sign down. Final answer is negative 174. Now, what do you do about the double negative? So here we have negative 8 minus a negative 6. There's a mnemonic device to help you figure out what to do. Keep it, switch, switch. So kiss. So here's how it works. You keep the first term, so we're going to keep the negative 8 the way it is. Then we're going to switch this sign to become positive, and we're going to switch the second sign, and in this case it switches to positive. And now it becomes negative 8 plus a positive 6. Figure out which one has the bigger absolute value. That's negative 8, so we know our final answer will be negative. Subtract the 2, 8 minus 6 gives you 2. Final answer is negative 2. Now you can easily do the keep it switch switch method with any of the problems that we did. So here's one that we did earlier, 17 minus 78. You keep the first term, we're going to keep this 17, switch this to become positive, and we switch the sign of the 78. Since it was originally positive, now it becomes negative. Now you have negative 17 plus negative 78. The negative has the bigger absolute value. 78 minus 17 gives you 61. Now, like I said before, the plus and negative is kind of redundant. So hopefully you can just recognize when it's subtraction. Here's a few for you to try. Go ahead and pause the video, then come back and check your answers. Alright, so let's check our answers. Negative 1 minus 10 is negative 11. 91 minus a negative 61 gives you 152. Negative 1 minus negative 40 gives you positive 39. And 13 minus 29 gives you a negative 16.